everybody. Back again. Three old friends. Music never ends. Number 43.
I
Is
think it's
it
43.
43? So we're really getting up there now. Becoming kind of routine here for us, and it still remains as fun as ever. This week we went with something a little slightly different. It was my choice, and I was thinking it was April, so April showers, and coincidentally, we've in Texas here, we've had some rain over the last couple of days, last couple of weeks actually. Uh, so we went to theme with the rain, whether it was rain or storm. And what we find out is, of course, is rain isn't just rain. Obviously, rain is the literal sense of rain is water comes down, nurse. But for songs, it seems to be pretty prevalent for a lot of different metaphors for love, lost love, growth, change. And I'm sure we all have a memory of a certain rainstorm that we've been through, or we enjoy the rain, or we enjoy thunderstorms. So it's no wonder that there's a lot of songs that are about rain. So, any early thoughts on that, guys?
No, I agree with everything you said, and I do. I remember specific. So one time when I was a teenager, I recorded a thunderstorm and listened to it because it was just so loud. We had one the other day that was crazy. I put a couple things up on my Facebook, but yeah, I agree. Crying, rain is often linked to crying, and you know.
I think right off the bat, I'm gonna have to say there were so many Rain songs that we got to do a Rain 2 or a Rain 3 because there's just so many cool Rain songs out there that we'll talk about later that maybe didn't get used. um, it's always, excuse me, I've been battling a cold. Um, it's always difficult just coming up with 5 songs. We know that, right? And 15 for the playlist is sometimes a challenge as well. I think for Rain songs, I don't know about you two, but I think I had like 45 or 50 that I came up with, and so whittling it down was a little difficult, but kind of went with the flow and what you guys did, and tried to pick maybe some of my favorite Rain songs. And who doesn't like a great rain song, right? When it's raining outside, that's when you crank up the music.
So speaking of that flow, and I think you got into it early. All the first 3 songs I think kind of old, but I started out with "Looks Like Rain" it's actually by Bob Weir, even though it's the Grateful Dead, and he put it on his Ace album, which was a solo album, which is really a Grateful Dead album because members of the Grateful Dead played on it, and it was kind of Bob Weir's coming out party, so to speak. At one point, they were thinking of kind of getting rid of him, but he just kept showing up, so he just became part of the band. But at one point, Jerry was like, "I want him out," and him and Big, and it never happened. So he stuck in there, and then he came out with this album called Ace, which has all his kind of little hits, all the Grateful Dead, a lot of playing in the band. But this one's "Look Like Rain," and of course, it's a song about love lost. It may look like rain, but it has nothing to do with rain. Actually, he's lamenting his loss of his lover who's gone, and there's lyrics in there. Felt your side of bed, covers well still warm. And I put this studio song on, but I rarely have heard the studio version, but I've heard it live hundreds of times. In fact, speaking of rain, Grateful Dead show in '95. The band came out, I believe it was the second step, and they started singing "Looks Like Rain" or one of the Rain songs, and it just came pouring down. And then for the next 4 songs were all about rain, like "Samba in the Rain." They played "Rain" by the Beatles. So anyway, that's one of the reasons I chose this song.
Box of Rain.
Box of Rain, of course. So yeah.
Yeah, I had you were an early, well, the main influence, Grateful Dead on me. I heard you play a bunch of your stuff, then I started buying records. I didn't have Ace. I had the Bobby and the Midnights, whatever has a black cat, I think, on the door. I think I may still have it in there actually. And also I think you put this back in the day on a tape that I heard, or I just heard you play it. I just always had assumed it was a Dead song, for years until it didn't show up on any of the Dead albums, so that I bought. So yeah, you're right. It does fit in with the others coming up, Loss and Sadness and Rain.
Yeah, I've never heard it. I knew he did some solo stuff as well. When you first shared it, it sounds like Grateful Dead right off the bat. But I liked this song. I thought it was a great song to start the playlist. Every time I started and listened to the playlist, and this song was the first one, I'm like, oh, this is a great choice to kick it off. And yeah, I liked it a lot. Like I said, I wasn't familiar with Bob Weir doing his solo stuff, but um, it's a good choice to kick things off for sure.
And then
So,
you
so after that, I'm like, well, I got to follow that up. At this point, I was just starting to pick, our first song. So I just had a bunch of songs in my mind, and then this is just one. This is a song by Ronnie Millsap called "Smoky Mountain Rain." There's nothing special about this song. It's just a nice song. It's a good tune. It's a good pop song, crossover country pop, whatever. But I've always just liked the song a lot. Knew it had the rain feel to it. With this one, he's trucking across country trying to get back to his find his past love, and but the rain is part of that as well. Trying to get through the Smoky Mountains to find his uh, his lovers, his whatever. And anyway, it's again, it's a catchy tune. It's a nice pop song. It doesn't do any. Doesn't do much more than that, other than I just like the tune, the melody. I like the lyrics of it, and so decided to throw it on.
I thought it went well with the Bob Weir song because it's basically about the same, essentially about the same thing there. Again, they're wishing for their past love. They're looking for it. I thought it was interesting that, he uses Smoky Mountain Rain as opposed to Smoky Mountain Range, which we usually associate with. And I think that had to be obviously on purpose. And the only other thing is I've been through the Smoky Mountains during rain. You don't really want to be there. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous drive in the rain. But I thought it was a great song, and I thought it went extremely well with that. Other than the guy telling him, "You need to step on it, dude." I was like, "Wait, you're telling this guy to step?" He's giving you a ride, and in the rain. Oh my God! So anyway, it was a great song that went well with the first song, and so.
Yeah, I'm not that I have an issue with Ronnie Millsap. I just never really listened to his music, but there are a few that I heard on the radio, and this is one of them. Heard this a lot of times. But what it reminded me of, which a song that wasn't on my list, but very similar theme, called "Kentucky Rain" by Elvis. And it's basically a guy, he either wakes up and the girl is gone, so that kind of fits in with the first one, or he's on the road, and he's hitchhiking, and he's looking for this girl. He gets a right. He's like a preacher man, in his words, picked him up and took him to further down the road looking for her. And so when I thought of that as soon as I heard this, I'm sure he didn't write the song, but yeah, so I agree. I think these really fit well together. And then I came on to my next song with from Redheaded Stranger, Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain, Willie Nelson, which, if you know any Willie Nelson, you probably heard this one. This is a Redheaded Stranger is a concept album of sort. Yeah, it's pretty much a concept album about a preacher who ends up catching his wife. He's like out in the frontier, a new town or whatever. He catches his wife cheating on him. They're laughing. She and the dude are laughing at him, and so he shoots him down. And then I think this song follows that because he's obviously feeling remorse for that. But story, whatever this about the story. I love this record. It's one of my all-time favorites, and this one is just in a way it's sparse. It's just, I think it's just guitar and him. And you know, the lyrics, there's not a lot there, but they really kind of do the job. Anyway, I could go on and on. I love this album, and I will get more on there one of these days.
Well, I mentioned the 40 or 50 songs I wrote down, and for whatever reason, I didn't write this song down. Cause I was just doing things on the top of my head, and thinking of songs I knew, and this is a classic song that should have been on my top 50 of Rain songs, and so I'm glad you put it on. I'm glad you reminded me that this was a cool Rain song. Yeah, and Willie Nelson, when it's stripped down like that, it's there's something about it. It just resonates when you can just focus on his vocal quality and what he's singing about, and then when then when he comes in with the guitar solo, right, and does that, it's just, I mean, there's none better than that when they do that. And he will even probably say that he's not the greatest guitar player, right, in across the spectrum, but yet he is so great and so talented. He has his own unique style about it too. It's not always perfect, but it's always Willie. That's the thing. He's got that signature style, and yeah, it almost made me cry, even though I don't have blue eyes.
Yeah, now again, I thought all three of these songs kind of had that same kind of mood, and I don't know what it says about people writing about rain and lost loves or remorse or something like that. But rain obviously has to play a part in it, like rain comes down, or it's that mood, that dampened spirit, I suppose. And like Dave said, it captures this definitely captures the essence. And Willie's one of those guys, like the other two, who know how to really capture the mood of it. The mood of this rain and what the rain that must mean to them when it comes down, and the memories that it evokes. So again, all three songs I thought were just fantastic, and how all of them went together. When you listen to them back to back to back, you get that same feeling. I mean, it's not the most uplifting thing, but sometimes rain isn't the most uplifting thing, and so I thought it was a great way to start this playlist. Uh, and then I kind of cheat here in the sense that I went with Petrichor by Fish, and it's long. I know it's long. They don't start singing till the 4 minute mark in this song. He has this huge, introduction. But this was one of those songs that Trey came up with. Petrichor's I guess the definition is the smell of the early rain, so to speak. And they made a whole thing about one of their New Year's Eve shows was centered all around it, where they had rain coming down on the stage and they had umbrellas and stuff like that. But anyway, the song itself is really kind of a lovely song. It's kind of one of those, I think it was one of those Trey pet project things that he likes to do. He was heavily influenced by Broadway and things of that nature. And this is just one of those songs that, yeah, it's long, and but it has a lot of different moving parts to it. And I think they haven't played it live since 2022, because it's such a long song that, and Fish fans are either love it or hate it, so to speak. So, but I thought I'd throw it on there. Probably one of the few times I'll ever get to use that song. So,
Yeah, I will just right out the gate say, when you gave a disclaimer, this song's 13 minutes. I was like, oh, really? But I really like the song. It's I don't know much about if he does, who the main like composer of the melodies and all that is in the group. But I really like it. The chord the way the chords are laid out, going, what do they call it? It's like, goes from like a moment of tension to resolution, and going from into like a minor chord or a seventh or whatever. And I couldn't tell you what's what when I heard the song, but yeah. And then other than, I guess I'm not really 100% clear what the song is about. The music itself is kind of what I focused on, but also I was kind of wondering how they put this together. You like hear like longer songs, like the a couple of the Beatles things on Abbey Road, and Terrapin Station and things like that. I think some of those cases, they had like smaller songs that they kind of worked into we wove together. And I'm curious if that's what happened here, or do you know what the process was?
Yeah, I think it was just him and him write. He tends to write these really long songs. There was another one called Time Turns Elastic, which is pretty much vilified by most Fish fans for whatever reason. Not that, yes, people can actually hate a Fish song, and that was one of the ones that people really, but it was one of those long songs where I think he just, because of his background, and he likes a lot of prog rock, and you can see the elements of prog rock in this song as well. And so I think that's one of the reasons that how this song came together. Like, I mean, let's face it, it's not Close to the Edge, it's not And You and I, but it has the elements to it. It has the strings, it has the long instrumental parts and that kind of stuff. So I think that's how it came with it.
It's interesting you mentioned the Yes, and I even equated it a little bit to some of the Rush songs that are long too, kind of a thing where, um, I think it's epic. I think it's brilliant. I think it's beautiful. It's moving. I love the whole thing. At first, like Mike said, I kind of cringed when I thought 13 minutes or whatever. But the more I listen to it, the more I like it. It's probably my favorite song on the playlist that we have here. And who doesn't like to learn a new word? Because for me, I didn't know what petrichor was, so you all enlightened me and told me what it was, and I looked it up. I think it actually talks about how not just early morning, but just like when there's dry soil, and then after a rain, you get that smell that emanates up from it. So I was at a baseball game the other day, and it was lightly raining, and so I turned to the coach and there, and I said, just I love the smell of petrichor on a baseball field, and he looked at me like, what? I said, that's my word for the day, and he thought it was pretty cool, and but no, I liked everything about the song. Now the only thing is, now you said they haven't played it since 2022. Now I'm going to be like, if we go see him in Boulder, I'm going to be like, petrichor, petrichor.
You'll be the only one.
That's right. But,
But you never know. They could
right.
break it out.
So then after that, I mean, after you have an epic masterpiece, you really can't follow it up with anything. So I'm like, what am I going to put on now? I could just go with just a nice lame song or whatever. For some reason, this song was in my head, and a song by Blind Melon called "No Rain," which really doesn't talk about rain so much as it is he's living in LA and he's trying to make it, and so he kind of equates it to, there's not much going on. I'm not getting work, and there's no rain. Um, but I've always liked the tune. It's probably the only Blind Melon tune that I had, or that I know about. Never collected any of their records or albums or anything like that, and but thought maybe it would go good after the petrichor, so I threw it on.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that you couldn't escape while we were growing up in that 80s. Right? The 80s, it's got to be around
Or
that.
I think early 90s,
Early
maybe
90s.
late
Yeah.
80s, early 90s.
Yeah, you couldn't escape that song. It was around all the time, and there was obviously a lot of hype around him and this song and how good it was. And I agree. I find it funny when you listen to it, you immediately gravitate towards it. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. That's that song, and it is a good song. And I'm like you, Dave. I didn't pile up the Blind Melon. I didn't pile up with his career, although I've heard it. He's
I
had some
think he died or he committed
right,
suicide or something,
right,
right?
yeah. So yeah, but he was renowned and people were really expecting a lot from him. But I guess the pressures of you know of all of what he dealt with. So, but no, like you said, I always love it that like you said, it's no rain, but it ain't about rain. You know, it's nothing about rain, but it's a great metaphor for you know for life and for well, actually despair. I'm sure in this point. So anyway,
Yeah, I basically everything I was going to say, you guys have said. I heard it, many times back in the day, and there was something a little bit. Um, I hesitate to say this, but deadish, Grateful Deadish about it. I don't know if it's a guitar playing or something. It kind of always reminded me of them a little bit. I listening to it now, I'm like, well, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll revisit that opinion. But yeah, it's whenever I hear this song now, it's like his name was Shannon Hoon, and that pops into my head because it's he OD'd and there I don't know if it was for sure it was suicide, but I think it's probable anyway. So it is real sad. I don't know what else he and that band would have done, but so I went on. I didn't really know what to follow either of those with either, and so I did a song by Harry Nilsson and called Rainmaker, and I've been. It's I think other than we did okay, there was somebody covered that as part of a medley, right? Jerry Jeff Walker or somebody did not that song. Everybody's talking,
Yeah.
right? But I
Yeah.
don't think we've actually had any Nilsson singing Nilsson on here, which really
No,
surprised me because I really like his music. I guess it's never really fit into anything we've done. I'm sure we used a lot back in the day with you guys.
on the
Back in
love
the
on
day.
the love song, I almost put on "Without You."
Right.
That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah, and that's a good one too. So Rainmaker, it's a cautionary tale, I guess. I think it's based on some kind of fable or some old story. I don't know, but don't mess with the Rainmaker. You're jerk to the Rainmaker. He may just leave it raining. But I had heard this song before, but not by him. I mean, now that I've been listening to all his music over the years, I heard it, but I thought it was a cover song because there was another version that got a lot of airplay from the late '60s. I don't even know who the band is, but it is what it is. I kind of think it's a little dark humor there, and like I said, I wanted to get some Nilsson on there.
well, yeah. I'm glad you did. It was probably long overdue that we get him. He's a great artist, and not familiar with this track or this song, but it went well. Again, everything was flowing real well. I liked. They talked about the Dust Bowl or Kansas and 90 degrees, and but we'll dial up the Rainmaker and make it rain. You all are both very fortunate. The fact that you put the song on Rainmaker, and then 2 songs later, I get a chance to put on a song, and sometimes we'll play the same. Hey, Rainmaker, I got another song by the same title, right? We'll try to do some of that. Well, you guys got a little bit lucky because I did have another title by a song called Rainmaker, but it was by the Partridge Family, and so I spared you the David Cassidy. It's a cool song, but another time. Yeah. So luckily I didn't put that on afterwards. I like this Rainmaker much better. So good job. Good tune.
I
Yeah.
thought real quick, sorry, Jose.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's another Rainmaker out there by Traffic, and after I put this on, I'm like, it was on my list, but I didn't really think I could put 2 Rainmakers on, so it didn't make the cut.
Yeah. Well, it is pretty astounding that there's all this lore about people who can make it rain, and we've all heard the stories, and there's endless amount. What's the play Music Man, right? It can make the rain, and then there's always these proverbs about rain and people who the rain people. So it's interesting that we do have a song about that. That's just part of the lore of rain. Is sometimes you desperately need the rain, just like we do in Texas, especially, and you'll go to great lengths to get that rain to come. So it's fascinating to me that we have all these different songs. It's about love, rain's about love or lost love, rain's about this. Now we have songs about rainmakers who we want the rain, bring us the rain. We'll do anything to get the rain. We'll believe in anything to get the rain. So I thought it was a great choice. And I will say that these 3 songs are this was kind of the middle point of like none of these songs go together. None of these songs have anything to do with each other, but they're all fairly interesting songs. And yeah, I went a little with the Violent Femmes. I Hear the Rain, which I try to listen to. I like how it sounds. I don't know anything what it's about. Apparently, it was part of this album that was kind of a couple, a concept album, and something happened prior in the song prior to this, and now he hears the rain. And but I just like the way it sounded. I used to have a friend who loved the Violent Femmes, rest in peace, Kendrick, and I thought it was just a weird kind of song, but it really struck me in a different way, and that's one of the reasons I put it on just to. And of course, I didn't know that he's going to talk about Prairie, and we had just done a song about Kansas. So there you go.
Yeah, Rachel turned me on to the Violent Femmes way back in the day before we were even married. And they're such a quirky band. I don't know if there's, no, I know they're still, or at least they were a few years ago, because Rachel and my daughter Shannon went to see them somewhere here in Austin. But it was, I didn't know this song. And I think basically I know anything that might be on a greatest hits record, there's some, was a Blister in the Sun and others that people know better. But I appreciate you putting this on here because, like I said, I didn't know it, and so now I have more to explore. But yeah, I like them. They're, like I said, they're quirky. They're an interesting band.
Yeah, I wasn't quite expecting it. It was kind of a shock when the song came on, but it's pretty cool. And if you think about it, we've had songs already where we're trying to describe the rain, right? It looks like rain, so I see the rain, right? Smoky Mountain rain, I feel the rain, a lot of feeling and whatever. Petrichor, we smell the rain, and then here you're hearing the rain, right? So we're using all of our senses on these different songs, which is cool. But yeah, I liked it as well. It kind of had that eclectic feel to it, and I like the sound of it, and I hear the rain, so I thought that was pretty cool. From there, I just went back to I went to my wheelhouse of traditional, cool oldies songs. I'm an oldies guy. And I said, I've been waiting. I mean, we're like 600 songs into this playlist stuff we're doing, and I've been waiting for the moment to put on Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, just because I just love the song. It's a song I always love singing, I love hearing, by B.J. Thomas. And as we all know, it was in, what was it, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, right?
That's right.
Right. So it was in that movie, and again, just a great tune. I think is it Burt Bacharach, I think, wrote it, and it's just got everything to it. It's got the horns in it, in there too, and just a lovely song. So one of my favorites of all time.
Yeah, it's one of those that is a standard, and Dave probably knew he was going to put it on. Not that I thought that it was on there, but yeah, it's one of those songs that you know immediately. I know two things I know from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and I also know it from if you listen to Genesis in the Cage, he uses that phrase, raindrops keep
Yeah.
falling on my head, keep falling. So anyway, that's what for some reason that I always reminds me of that song because he sings that little verse in there. So yeah, and obviously if it's being part of another song, that's probably the ultimate tribute that it's a pretty good song.
Yeah, I remember this song from when I was a kid. My dad loved B.J. Thomas. I think he also did "Hooked on a Feeling," which for some reason is a song my dad really liked. But it's probably clear by now that I'm a Burt Bacharach fan. Wrote he arranged the music and had other people, different lyricists with him, but this is Hal David who co-wrote a lot of the stuff. Butch Cassidy, yeah. It's just a great song. I've heard it so many times. It doesn't seem like anything could be done different. It is what it is. So I appreciate you putting it on. I don't think I have yet put on a Burt Bacharach song, which is even when he died. I think you had something on, Dave. I missed my chance, but anyway, yeah. So always a favorite, and I went from that to another Thomas, Irma Thomas. That was totally a coincidence. I didn't think about it. She's a New Orleans musician, or at least is, I don't know if she grew up there or what, but she's well known there, and you can kind of hear that in the sound. Like if you hear some early Neville Brothers, it really has this kind of sound to it. It's oh, sorry, did I say the name of it? It's raining. Hard to remember, but it's it's both rain as a metaphor for sadness and tears, but remembering it's like um, for a lot of people, that's a time when you maybe are closer together with the one you love when it's raining, when there's a storm outside. So she's missing that. I love this song too. I heard it in first heard it in a movie called Down by Law, which is a Jim Jarmusch film. If you haven't seen any of his movies, you should check them out. This one, fan favorite, stars Tom Waits, and I can't remember the other guy, and then um, Roberto Benini, who by now, hopefully, you guys, he and he did Life is Beautiful, and he's had a bunch of he acts that same way in just about everything he does, and no different in that movie. But there's a scene where the woman who actually is Benini's wife, they're on the run from the law, all of them for various reasons, and they wind up in this Italian restaurant in the middle of nowhere, and the lady running it is actually played by his wife. And there's a scene where they kind of fall in love, where they're dancing. The song is on the jukebox, and they're dancing to it. So it's always had a special place in my heart. I think she still plays in New Orleans, like a regular gig. I'm not sure if she's getting up there now. And her voice also reminds me a lot of Etta James. I don't know if you know much about Etta James music, but I've been meaning to get this song on for a while, so perfect time to shoehorn it in.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool selection. It's got that bluesy kind of feel to it, and the words and the lyrics are pretty cool. You're just in there. She's coming down hard. It's raining hard. I guess she probably couldn't leave for whatever reason, but she wants it all to stop so she could go meet and be in the arms of her lover again. Um, and just she wants it to hurry up and end. And so I thought the lyrics were great. I love the style of the song. Was really cool. Just a really cool rain song.
Yeah, I thought again, setting the mood, and if Dave gives us the classics, Mike's always gives us these kind of blues standards, these kind of songs. I don't know how you would classify that, as much as I love labels, right? But I thought it, uh, we all have our style for sure, and it, it doesn't surprise me that this kind of song made it on there as well, which is good. It always opens our eyes to those. This song's probably how old? Years old, but yet it's the first time I've ever hearing it and enjoying it immensely. So just thought it was a great song to put on. Like the other songs about love. Again, love has a lot to do with rain for some reason, and so setting the mood is what really takes it. So, and I'll have to catch out that Jim Jarmusch. I don't think I've seen that one as much as I've seen some of his movies, but and Benini should not have won the Oscar that year. Anyway, that was another thing.
I don't know.
Life is beautiful. Anyway,
It's a great movie.
life is beautiful. Uh, here comes I went next with kind of switched it up a little, went a little more. I say modern, but the song is old, as old as it was in the 90s. Here Comes the Rain Again by the Eurythmics, Analytics, obviously. It's a song that I'm sure we've all heard that it used to be played quite a bit. It just captures the essence of them. I've always kind of liked the Eurythmics. Uh, it took me a while to appreciate what they really did, and this was one of the songs that kind of helped that along. We all know there are other classics, but this is one of those songs that it made it all the way up, top 10 in the Billboard, and it's just here comes the rain again. It's just here comes some more stuff life coming at you, so you're just gonna have to deal with it. I think is how they kind of wrote it. Dave Edmunds, who was on the Eurythmics. So I thought that was another good analogy about rain, about, yeah, here it comes again. So, you know, get ready for it.
Yeah, I kind of my approach to the Eurythmics was kind of the same as yours. That Sweet Dreams song, which I know people really love. I was like, it just didn't do it for me back in the day. But the more I heard, I think this is maybe one of the turning points. And they had videos for a lot of these that were really memorable. But this is kind of the turning point for me. I really did get to, what's the guy in the band? I can't, very
Dave
talented musician.
Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart, yeah.
Stewart or Dave Edmonds? Stewart.
Dave Stewart.
I don't know. Yeah.
But he, yeah. So very, very
Not that
talented.
Dave Stewart. Were you laughing for Jose?
Because I said Edmonds and not Stewart.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike. Did you,
Well-
were you saying the other David Stewart?
No. Is there
You weren't
another
thinking of the
Dave?
guy that pitched for the Oakland A's, that Dave Stewart.
Oh.
Not that.
I didn't even think of that. That's pretty funny.
Sorry, man, totally lost it there. I cut you off, Mike, and so for some reason, Dave Stewart of the Oakland A's popped into my head. He pitched for lots of teams, but
Yeah, no, just the only thing I was gonna add, they're both really talented. He's played with a lot of, I think he maybe played the sitar on a Tom Petty song. I know in the video that Don't Come Around Here No More, he's like sitting on a mushroom with a hookah or something other. And then her voice is just phenomenal. It just is amazing range. I put one of her solo songs on before, but I foresee more Eurythmic songs. So
yeah, this is another one of those ones where I know this song and knew it well and didn't write it down. So like Mike had done with Blue Eyes Crying, and then Jose put this song on. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great song about rain. But didn't have it on my list. So yeah, like I said, wasn't a huge Eurythmics fan, throughout the years, but I knew this song and liked it a lot. I liked just the lyrics as well. Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion. Anyway, I thought it was a good song. At that point, we do this. I probably unconsciously, but Mike put on a female artist, and then Jose put on a female artist, and then so I went, okay, there's two in a row. And what song do I have by a female artist? And I looked at my list, and Set Fire to the Rain by Adele came on in my head. And I know we haven't used any Adele either on any of our playlists. She's more modern than some of the stuff we usually put on. But just a great song. And it really burst her into the limelight, that whole album. But this song was one of her signature hit songs on that album as well. And so I thought, oh, this would be a good place to not only add a little Adele, but also put Set Fire to the Rain. And anyway, I always liked the song, so good point to put it on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. This is my favorite song on the playlist. I don't know why, but it comes at you like nobody's business. It really just explodes. And when she's singing, the chorus and stuff like that, you're just like, man, this is such a great song. I don't know what it means. I don't know who wants to set fire to the rain, but I'm all in. I will follow. The other songs again, like they said, I'm not a Adele fan. Obviously, she's had some. She sings some James Bond theme songs and stuff like that. But this song, every time it takes me to a different level for sure. And I say that without much saying because I should be listening to Adele. And obviously, even my aunt, who doesn't speak English, was in the car and I was playing the playlist so I could listen to it. And she's like, "Oh, is that Adele?" And I was like, "Oh my God, this woman who's 80 years old knows this song, knows who she is." So I'm just throwing that out there. And yeah, I just enjoyed it so much.
Well, I'll say the same that I said about Annie Lennox, but even more so. She has just this amazing voice and control over it and range. And I don't know a lot about her. I know everything I've heard by her. Kind of, it sounds. I know who it is as soon as I hear it. But she is clearly a great talent. And there was a Saturday Night Live skit where it was a Thanksgiving table, and the everybody from all the family are gathered, and they're arguing over politics, and they're like, it's a stereotype of the crazy uncle that has these fringe views, and then an aunt who's like the other end of the spectrum, whatever, conspiracy and this and that. And they're all fighting, and one of the kids puts on an Adele song, and they all just kind of like pause and find common ground over that song. So I don't know if it was this song. It might have been this song actually, but she's definitely a really talented singer. And so I went. This song doesn't really. I don't know. I just had this one. It's Dire Straits. It Never Rains. Off Love Over Gold, I think. And it's I don't know that it necessarily had any. I definitely wasn't thinking the other songs, but it's one I've long liked. It's a longer one, and it's a somebody who's got. Okay, so we have songs in here, people who are heartbroken over um, lost love and that sort of thing. This the narrator, the singer of this song, I mean the character he's playing, maybe very well was heartbroken, but there's a lot of anger in this song if you listen to the lyrics. And then the other thing I really like about it, but the whole record is great, Love Over Gold. But the other thing I like about it is the last, couple of minutes, basically is him playing a solo, goes out on the solo. And, Mark Knopfler, I'll never get tired of his guitar playing. So had to put this one on.
Yeah, I always like when you throw on the Dire Straits and the Steely Dans and those kind of things. I've listened. I had some of their albums. I didn't have this one, so this was kind of a surprise song for me on this playlist. I listened to it a few times, and yeah, I never get tired of. Uh, just a well constructed song. How he puts it together, and then that undeniable sound that he has on his guitar work, right away hey, that's Mark Knopfler. So great choice and a great tune that I don't not sure I'd ever even heard before. So good choice, definitely.
Yeah, I really like the song, and what I think about it, I'm not trying to compare it to anything, but it sounds Bob Dylan-ish. Like Bob Dylan could have sang this song and it would have worked. Now, having said that, the guitar at the end, like from the 5 minute mark on to the end of the song, is all classic uh Mark Knopfler guitar playing, which is beautiful, and it's a great way to song. But that kind of distinguishes it from the first part is almost Bob Dylan. He even uses the word Tin Pan Alley, so it had to. I'm not just I didn't read up on. Had to been influenced by Dylan in some way. It's a Dylan-esque song, and I also like that there's kind of a sneaky piano keyboard going throughout the song. Like at the 4 minute mark, you can hear the keyboards play a little. Obviously, you can tell I really like this song. And then at the end, the keyboards comes in again, not over the guitar part, but just there, just enough there that you feel it. That is really one of the great songs on this. I'd never heard it, Mike, and I'm glad you put it on. But yeah, that's the feel I got. It's Dylan-esque, but it changes into the Dire Straits song.
Yeah, I agree with you. I meant to say that about Dylan. I mean, I think the first time I heard Dire Straits, it made me think of Dylan back when I didn't really know much about him. But yeah, I thought the same thing, even maybe a little Springsteen kind of sound to some of it too. But they have that in some of their other music as well. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt us.
Yeah, no worries. So I followed that up with one of the few that didn't have rain in it was that I could have used that Dave mentioned. Crosby, Stills and Nash I used After the Storm. I could have used what's the other song that's on that album?
Cold Rain.
Cold Rain. I thought about using that one, but I just thought I like this song just a little bit better. I like it because, you know, after a storm, like we had our storms and I go walking in the morning, it's a different feel. You know, whether it's almost like it's a whole rebirth, it's a whole rejuvenation. Everything's been watered, everything's been, kind of washed away. And now here we are again so this is After the Storm. And this song is kind of like that. Although I tend to believe, say it's after a bad relationship, I guess whether it's male, female, or I always thought it was after the storm with them having to deal with David Crosby and his issues. And I just want friendship to be in love. I just want to see that in your eyes. I just want to see that love in your eyes. And I think that's why I kind of picked that song, because it really is a great song about let's face it, Crosby, Stills and Nash, and even Young. That those guys have been so up and down that it's amazing. And I think this was kind of Graham Nash's things like, okay, we've been through that. Let's do what we do best. And let's find what we have that's so magical. And I think that's one of the reasons I picked this song.
I have to agree with you. I think you're on the money there with what Nash was going after. Because boy, he has, even at the end, it was really rocky between him and Crosby. I never quite got why. I mean, is that egos? Neil Young too, and well, all of them. It's like, what on earth, guys? You're so talented. You sound great together. But whatever. It's a good song. I'm glad. I think I like this on this playlist better than Cold Rain. And I love that album. Was it CSN?
Yeah.
Something like that.
After the storm, still after the storm.
But yeah, I don't think I have heard anything this recent from them. And I know it's 94, but I'm not familiar with their later music. So this is nice. They really sounded good. I would be thinking maybe their voices would be faltering a little bit, particularly after what David Crosby nearly did, what he did to himself and nearly died, from his excess. But good song.
Yeah, same here. So echoing some of the things you said, there was a period of time where maybe this album and the next one I just stopped listening, or I hadn't really listened to Crosby, Stills and Nash much. So I probably need to go back and listen to all their stuff, because they probably continued to, I know they did continue to put out great music. We talked about that even with David Crosby's last album, and then Graham Nash just put out another album too. So they're still into their early 80s and still producing great music. This one, when I looked at the lyrics of it, when I was listening to it, but I just pulled it up just now, and it might be in the middle of the phrase, I don't know, I don't care, but I like where he says, he said, I needed a friend. After the rainbow had gone, it's so sad losing a friend, but the memories are lingering on. How come I have to explain? Children are worth all the pain. I just want to see the love in your eyes after the storm has passed you and gone. I just want to see the love in your eyes. So again, a beautiful lyric of it. And we all have our favorites within Crosby, Stills, Nash. And for me, it's always Graham Nash is the favorite for me. And I love that. I love his upper tenor voice and his piano playing and the other things he does. And so this was a great song I'd never heard either. So when you put it on, I'm like, oh yeah, this is really good, and it fits the theme and everything else. So probably need to go
Neil Young
listen to
and
the
Stephen
album.
Stills just played together. Did you see that, Mike? Neil Young and Stephen Stills.
Oh, I did. I haven't actually seen the video, but I saw a photo of it.
Anyway, just thought I'd throw that in there. There's
I
still
wonder, Steven's been battling loss of hearing and all kinds of stuff. So for a while there, he wasn't even playing. It's interesting that he's back to playing. He's probably learned to overcome whatever that sound, whatever that deficit is, right? He's probably had to learn how to hear it differently or do whatever. So
sorry about that.
no, that's all good stuff. Then for my last choice, then I went with a song called Rhythm of the Rain, which is actually I don't know, remember who did it way back in the 50s or 60s, early 60s, but it was a cover of that by Dan Fogelberg. But I've always liked this version of the song that he put together. Sometimes covers aren't that great than from the original, but for this one, this is the one that I always go to on this song called the Rhythm of the Rain. And I just the same kind of thing. I love how it's the lyric of um, uh, what is like oh, I'm trying to think of the hang on just a second, give me a second. So when he talks about how hang on, uh, bear with me for a second, just had a moment. Um, the only girl I've ever loved has gone away. That's what it was. You know, looking for a brand new start. I wish that when you know when she went away, she along with her, she took my heart. I just think that's such a beautiful lyric. I don't know who wrote that lyric originally in the song or whatever, but I always just like that part of the song. And then again, the rhythm of the rain, and it's just a catchy tune all the way around. So one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, this is the only song. The only time I've really heard it. I haven't heard probably the other ones I've heard Dan Fogelberg sing, maybe because I've hung out with Dave quite a bit. But yeah, I really like the song, and even the rhythm of the rain. When you think about that, rhythm of the rain, you think about the raindrops, and sometimes whether you like rain or don't like rain, I kind of like rain myself. You feel that rhythm, but it's also the rhythm of life as well when everything's in tune and everything's going right. It's the rhythm of the rain. It's the rhythm of life. So it's a great song. It's a classic, obviously, and you know, I'm sure Dave finding a Dan Fogelberg song with with rain in it wasn't hard, but hard to put on. But no, immensely enjoyed it.
Yeah, I haven't put on a Dan Fogelberg song yet, but I've always liked his music, at least since the late mid to late '70s. When what was the name of that? I think I brought it up before. He did a song, an album with a guy. It's like the Power of Gold.
Tim Weisberg.
Yeah. So he had a long career, lots of good music, and this cover song, I for some reason I thought it was the Everly Brothers, but it wasn't. I don't know why. In my mind, I heard them singing that, but it wasn't. And I looked it up when it came up just now. And it's a band called the Cascades, which I don't think I ever heard of. And kind of looking down the list, they don't have really any other songs that I've ever heard. So, but that was a good one, and I think it's also worth noting he fits in a line from "Rain" by the Beatles at the very end. When the rain comes, they run and hide their heads, which was on my list. That and "Let It Rain" by Eric Clapton and many others. I forgot to mention this before when you after the storm when you were talking about we should have another rain list at some point. I had meant to put some more. I even brought up a storm song. It's like, can we do storm songs? And I have a ton of those, but so I may have to get a little more stormy.
A lot of
That's a good song, Stormy. If you know
there's a
that.
lot of thunder and lightning type songs. Yeah.
For sure.
So my next I guess my next song was "Come Rain or Come Shine," a standard in this case, performed by Ray Charles and backing musicians and a chorus or whatever, a few backup singers. And I didn't really put it because of any a song before it. It's just one I always really liked. It has that kind of Ray Charles thing to it for this certain period where he had kind of lush sound, and I mean he did a lot of other types of things, but and then the backing vocals, the backup singers, and it's an old show tune. I couldn't tell you what it's from. I looked it up earlier, but now it has something to do with St. Louis. But yeah, I don't. I like it again. It's the arrangement. Of course, I like his voice and kind of he has that thing about it. but the arrangement, I mentioned this earlier, it's like it has that um, tension to it, and where it goes into like a minor chord and then it resolves. And I love when they do that in songs. He does it a few times here. Whoever composed it. So anyway, I'm going on way too much about it, but I thought it was a nice way to cap it off.
Yeah, that was another good oldies, bluesy kind of song. You know, I always like Ray Charles. Wasn't familiar with this song, even though I probably should. I mean, it seems like it's a classic. Once I listened to it, it sounded familiar, but right off the bat, I'm like, I don't know if I know this song. But good way to end the playlist for sure, and can't go wrong with little Ray Charles.
Right. It is a great song, and Ray Charles, we don't have enough Ray Charles on this. I think that's Mike's department. Dan Fogelberg, Dave, Mike, Ray Charles. But it's great. Actually, this song was actually on my list, but I had the Eric Clapton, BB King version, which is a little different than this one. Obviously more guitar oriented, dare I say. But I think I preferred the Ray Charles one for whatever reason. I think they kind of, for lack of a better phrase, jazz it up a little too much for a song that doesn't need jazzing up at all. And not that they do a bad job, not that Eric Clapton, BB King, are bad guitarists in any sense of the way, any sense of the word. But I just thought the Ray Charles one fit more perfectly with what we had here on our playlist. And I think I'm glad I didn't use mine earlier at any point, because I think the Ray Charles one fit in a lot with a lot of the songs and the mood setting of what Rain is about. So overall, I thought, when I first came up with the topic, I just thought, Rain, we always get these ones where we try to find, but again, I thought it was, it flowed so nice and so well. And sure, there's some hiccups here and there, so to speak, like Violent Femmes and stuff like that. But I think all the songs kind of really were pretty symbolic of what Rain and what people write about Rain. So and yeah, like Mike said, there's a bunch of other Rain songs out there that we could have used. I had a ton of Rain songs on there as well. So any last words?
Just I think we put together a pretty good playlist for this. As a good theme. Like I said, I think we could probably do another one. We'll give it some time and space. Maybe next year, around this time, where rain season, we'll throw out another one when we start running out of themes and options and things we're going to do. But couple songs that I had that will probably make it on the next one. So if you want to, I don't want it to be a spoiler alert, but kind of a tease for it. Rainy Days and Mondays by the Carpenters, favorite song of mine. But putting that one on and Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head is a little bit too much of the oldie stuff. Rainy Day People by Gordon Lightfoot is another one that I like. And then who could forget Purple Rain by Prince?
Purple Rain, I had it on my list.
So
Yeah.
those are three that probably will make it on the next one.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I was at several places I wanted to put on Love Rain or Me, because that's one of my songs from back in the day that I loved so much. And I see Riders on the Storm, which I like. It's got a lot of airplay, but I still think it's a great kind of scary song, a whole different take on Rain. And I had another one in mind.
yeah. Well,
Anyway.
obviously we didn't use the obvious one, like I said, Rain by the Beatles.
What is the Let It Rain by Clapton.
Right.
That was one I really put on.
Rainy Day, Dream Away, Jimi Hendrix. Well, people don't know that song, but that's one of those. And then Fool in the Rain by Led Zeppelin. I thought that would have been good on there, but we didn't use it.
And the Rain song by Led Zeppelin.
Right.
That was another one that was high on my list.
That was our opportunity to put some Zepp on there, man. Come on,
right.
guys.
But I'm not.
Hasn't made it on a list yet.
Yeah. And then and then we get into the Storms by Fleetwood Mac. I almost put Thunder by Imagine Dragon, but y'all would have just chastised me for that.
I like that song.
Well, people, it's such a popular song, but it's always like, okay, I don't know.
Oh, that's the one where it's like thunder. Thunder,
Thunder,
yeah.
yeah. Everyone knows it.
Um,
You hear it at all the high school events and
Yes.
stuff like that. So,
Lots of baseball games.
so yeah. So overall, like Dave said, I'm sure we'll have a part two at some point in the future if we keep going on, which I see why we shouldn't. So, this is so much fun, and I enjoy it immensely. So, hopefully we will continue, and we have more surprises. Not surprises. We always have surprises in store in the upcoming months. So, everyone, take it easy and enjoy the songs. The songs are great. It's all about the music.